Hey everybody, welcome back to the Honey and Absinthe After Hours podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Vincent.
I'm Janet, and this is a podcast about all things art, business, and whatever we feel like.
Now today, we're going to... Hey everybody, welcome back to... Hey everybody, welcome back to the Honey and Absinthe After Hours podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Vincent.
I'm Janet, and this is a podcast about all things art, business, and whatever we feel like.
Now today we're going to talk about working and running a business from home during quarantine. Now, I hope everybody is okay. I hope everybody who's listening is safe at home. I hope they're staying healthy and, just keeping occupied and, staying sane. It's tough to be indoors all the time. And if you can, you should probably go out to your backyard or a nice... Fuck me. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the...
What's wrong?
I don't know. I'm feeling...
Just a little anxious?
Yeah.
It's okay, baby. Just chill. Relax. Just enjoy this conversation.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Honey and Absinthe After Hours podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Vincent.
I'm Janet, and this is a podcast about all things art, business, and whatever we feel like.
Now, today we're going to talk about running and running a business during quarantine. Working and running a business during quarantine. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Honey and Absinthe After Hours podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Vincent.
I'm Janet, and this is a podcast about all things art, business, and whatever we feel like.
Now, today we're going to talk about working and running a business from home during quarantine. Now, we've been quarantined for about almost 2 weeks now from this recording, and I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's staying safe and that they're occupied and that they're keeping busy, but also happy and healthy.
I hope wherever you are in the world, you're safe and you're keeping busy. So I have been doing this working from home thing for the past 2 months, a little bit earlier than everyone else because I had left my job at Disney to become an independent artist full-time on the internet.
Yeah, and this whole thing, I still work in animation, so this whole thing has sort of forced everybody to work from home. And it's really kind of a fortunate thing because there's a lot of people who physically can't work or it's so much more dangerous for them to work. So it's really amazing how I get to, work from home, but it also is a huge thing to, get used to, at least for me.
Yeah, well, I had gotten used to it very quickly. I had researched a lot of things that I knew that I needed to be disciplined about once I started working from home because it is a little bit of a difference working at an office versus working from home. So I got used to it pretty quickly and I became really efficient and everything. And that all changed when we all got quarantined and you had to start working from home.
So I despise working from home. I learned from, I graduated art school and I tried the freelancing thing. I just don't like all that responsibility and all that accountability. I was telling you, I love going to work because it's sort of like going to jail for like a little bit. I mean, not in a pejorative way. It's more of like, okay, I'm going to go to this place and I'm going to sit here and I'm kind of stuck here. I shouldn't go home. I'm just stuck here from 9 to 6 and I got to get my work done and then I can go home. And I like that. I like that feeling of like, I'm going to a place so I can do a job. And then when I come home, it's home time. So it's been very weird, just trying to figure out and navigate that stuff. And I have like this whole podcast is just going to be mostly me complaining about my like work from home fails and all that.
When you told me that, I was like, are you rationalizing having to be stuck at
Possibly,
home?
But it makes me feel better
stuck at work
about a lot of things.
It's like you said, I need to treat working from home like going to prison. And I was like, wait, there are benefits for working at home that are there are pros and cons to both.
I guess I don't really see them because of my
So
personality
you're
type.
like, I need to just take my mentality of how, like, I'm stuck at work and I have to do whatever and bring it to home. But so how is it different from working at work
It's a lot different, and
for you at least?
yeah, of course. And there's the whole podcast. I have like a whole list, but like the first thing I could think of is like when I'm at work, especially when I'm at work and it's getting late, I get really homesick a little bit, and I go like, oh hey, how are the cats doing? Because I always like think about if my little cat, my little Biscuit, he's the orange and yellow tomcat you see on the
Orange and
on the
white,
channel. Yeah. Or what did I say?
Orange and yellow.
God, jeez, why did I say that? Orange and white. Orange and white cat that you see every so often in the podcast, and he's my cat, and I always ask Janet, how's he doing?
Yeah,
Is he
and
okay?
I'll send you little texts of him being cute or whatever.
Yeah, and it's really nice. So when I started working from home, I was like, oh great, I get to spend time with Biscuit. The problem is, for those of you who don't know Biscuit, he is a little demon cat.
Yeah.
He wrecks our stuff. He scratches everything. He digs through our trash, and a couple days ago we saw him scooting.
Oh yeah.
You want to talk? You want to share with everybody how he caught him scooting? I should probably start. So I was working, and then I hear this thump and
Yeah.
like a skidding sound. I can't really make it.
Sounds like rustling of papers or cardboard.
Right.
Which is why I thought, oh, what are the cats doing now? Are they like messing with the Amazon packages, or are they like, did they jump on the table and ruffle some paperwork or whatever? But I was busy editing, so I didn't want to turn around and look. I figured it was just, they're just playing or whatever. And then you go, babe,
Look at what he's doing. And then for me, I've had dogs all my life, and I never had a cat until I started dating you. And I've never seen a cat scoot. Cats are such elegant creatures. Like I could never imagine it. And dogs, they're kind of, blunt, kind of dumb, lovable dinguses. And I've seen dogs scoot all the time, but like watching my little cat scoot, it confused me at first, and it was so distracting.
You didn't even know what he was doing.
No, well, I knew, but for like the first second, I couldn't register. I was like,
couldn't comprehend
Yeah, I was
it,
like,
yeah.
what are you? Are you scooting? You're scooting. Why are you doing that? What are you doing? And it's
my
that.
God.
It's basically that. I should be focused on my work. I should be like laser focused, getting my stuff done. And honestly, like it's a really cool position to like, I can wake up at 7 and start working and then be finished by like 4, and then I can just relax by the rest. Like I could have these really flexible hours to myself as long as I put in the work. But like, instead of like having hyper focused work sessions, it's always just like on and off, on and off, on and off. Like I'm working really hard, and then Biscuit distracts me. I'm working really hard, and then I look over to you and I'm checking you out, and I'm like, damn, my girlfriend's really hot. And then like an hour passes by, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to get my work done. And then I get distracted and I go like, I want to play some Doom or something. I get so distracted when I work here. This is why I hate working from home. I can't stand it.
You can't focus.
I can't focus.
The thing about like with me, when I first started working from home, I noticed the same thing where I would sit down and I'd get to work, and then our little Biscuit has this weird thing where he needs to announce to everyone in the room that he has arrived. So you hear he's kind of a inelegant cat.
Yeah, so we have an elderly cat named Mom Cat, who's like about maybe 8 to 10 years old. We found her as a kind
As
of
a
feral.
stray,
As
yeah.
a stray. Not feral, but as a
Yeah.
stray. So we don't know her exact age, but she's very elegant.
Yeah, and she's like a ninja. She's like a shadow, and she's
Yeah.
gray, and she can disappear in the
Yeah.
shadows. And she's very quiet, and you don't hear her coming. But with Biscuit, even though he's a cat, he kind of sounds like a dog when he comes up to you. It's
He
like a
kinda
thump,
thumps.
thump, thump.
Yeah.
He like thumps in with his big paws, and then he kind of expects people to acknowledge his presence. And when we don't, because we're working or busy,
Yeah.
he goes, "Meow." Meow. And then usually when he would do that, I knew, because I'm like a super like animal whisperer, to
You
not
really are. Everybody, dang. Janet trained my family's new dog. She trained my guinea pigs, and she trained our cats. Like, and she's also a Pokemon master. Like, it's ridiculous.
I trained your guinea pigs to sit.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
because guinea pigs, they can't
understand.
I mean, they're kind of bright, but they're kind of
They're
stubborn
just
too.
like potatoes.
Yeah, they're kind of.
But so I knew to not give him any sort of acknowledgement or attention. So in the first week, I would just ignore him. He would like cause havoc, and eventually, I trained them to sleep during the day or like just not bother me during the day, because if they come, they'll like rub against my leg and then they'll leave. That's usually how it is. They don't yell at me.
No.
Biscuit never comes in and yells at me. He comes in and yells at you. And,
Feed me.
Yeah.
Hey.
And so he recently, ever since you started working from home, it started again. Like, I was having such a great productive. I was so efficient when I started working from home the first month, all of February. I got so much done. The minute you came back, Biscuit started acting up again, and he would come in, yell at you. You would get really distracted and yell back at him and be like, "What? What do you want?" And then all this ruckus is happening behind me because of the way our studio is set up. So I get really distracted. I turn around and I'm just watching you two have a staring match for like 5 to 15 minutes. And I just wasted 5 to 15 minutes watching that.
Yeah.
And that's just every day.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because we work together in the same room. And it's really funny because on the one side of the room, it's my stuff, and I'm working on animation stuff. And then on the other side, it's you, who you're like editing YouTube videos, you're streaming to people, you're doing all this crazy stuff.
Making art.
And I'm just like, I don't know. I just have to deal with all this new stuff.
For me, my biggest distractions from working at home, because I'm actually someone, I think I have ADD.
Okay.
It's never been I've never gone and gotten it diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure.
Why do you think you have ADD?
Because I have hyper focus, but also I get really distracted when I'm not hyper focused. So when I am working for myself at home on my own, I forget to eat. I forget to drink water.
I have to remind you constantly to drink water.
Yeah, I can because I'm so interested in what I'm doing. I will work for the whole 8 hours when you were gone, and like just not like, I don't know if anyone can tell, but I had lost a lot of weight between like January and now, and then it's kind of like plateaued ever since you came back.
And it's what is that? That's just like hyper focused working.
Yeah,
you know, you don't have time to snack. You don't have time to get McDonald's.
Like,
or
I don't
whatever.
even feel hungry.
Right.
It doesn't like trigger for me.
Right.
So,
and like, I'm sure everybody has had those modes before. Like, it could be like you're playing video games or you're drawing or you're working, and you're just like too into it.
Yeah.
And then you kind of snap out of this trance or this Zen mode that you've got, and you're like, oh shoot,
Yeah.
I didn't eat, or like lunchtime was like 3 hours ago or something.
Yeah. And the thing about I forget what it's called in productivity lingo, but there's this thing where if you give yourself a large amount of time to do something, you will fill all of that time, even if you don't need it. So if you give yourself 20 hours to do this project, you're going to need 20 hours. But if you try to shorten that amount of time to like 10 hours or whatever, you will find that a lot of times you will cut out all the unnecessary things that you do, or like all the distractions or whatever, and you will manage to finish your project in that amount of time.
Like how I would do my homework last minute.
Yes.
Like at Art Center, where like this thing is due and I do it 6 hours before class.
And so February, when you were working still at the studio, you had this rule for me where you said, like, you are my biggest distraction because you, like, I can't say no to you. If
Is it my good looks?
Yes. And like if you say like, hey, let's eat, and then we have such a great conversation and we have a 2-hour lunch, I can't say no to you. Or if you're like, hey, let's take a break, let's go walk to the gas station, and we waste 30 minutes, I won't say no to that. And so like you're constantly distracting me when you're at home. That and like Biscuit and playing video games and all.
So Biscuit is my distraction.
Yeah.
And
But
then
you're
Biscuit
my-
distracting me, distracting you.
Yeah, is my distraction. And but like before, you were gone for like 8 hours a day, and during those 8 hours, I can work for way longer than 8 hours. These days, it's been more like 8 to 10 or more hours a day. But you forced me every time you came home to stop working at 6.
We had this conversation, like we had a lot of conversations about when you should leave Disney and how life is going to be after that. I think I mentioned in a podcast before that we were preparing for you to leave for a long time.
Yeah.
And one of the major stipulations or major, I don't know, conditions that I had, because you and I are from Art Center and we know what it's like to work ourselves to death, like literally to death.
Yeah.
I knew that you had it in you for that to come back again. And I just said, you could get a lot of stuff done in 8 hours. And once 6 o'clock comes, you need to stop.
Yeah.
Like you really, really, really need to stop. Like 8 hours, 5 work days, that's 40 hours all to yourself to work on whatever project you need to work on. That should suffice.
Yeah.
And,
I put a lot on my plate, but I was able to finish everything because I knew that even if I told you, like some days I might have to work past 6 or whatever.
Right. And I was okay with that too.
And most of the time you wouldn't let me because you're like, babe, come on, let's play video games. Let's watch movies.
Come on.
Yeah, come on. So I knew that once you came home, whether at 5 or 6 o'clock, I'm done. I have to be done. So that...
system, even though we had it for like only like a couple weeks until actually more like a month-ish until quarantine happened. It worked well.
Yeah.
You had your own stuff to do. I had my stuff to do. I'd go and then you'd stay and I'd come back and we'd hang out.
Yeah.
That was the process.
It was really, I got really efficient. Even though I was posting 3 times a day on TikTok and I was making all these videos and I was doing Instagram and all these things on my own, I was able to get it all done. The minute you started working from home, I couldn't finish half of that stuff. I was wondering, where did all the time go?
Yeah, one thing for me is like another thing that I struggle with other than the cats is knowing when to start, because we wake up and especially for the first week and a half, it just felt like we were trying to figure out how to do a morning routine together.
Yeah.
We first started off like working out in the morning, but then just the whole mood of everything, we've just kind of relegated to, we just kind of just walk in the morning now. That's what we do. And now it's getting harder to do that because now, I think a couple days ago, Gavin Newsom told us that we should be wearing face masks or at least a scarf everywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't know how the heck next week, or when we're going to be able to, or how we're going to be able to walk. I guess we're going to have to walk with a scarf on our face.
Yeah.
Well, we have a whole routine where we try to make time to go outside because it's good for the mind and it's just beautiful in the morning. And we have breakfast and we talk and all that stuff. And then like sooner than you know it, 11 o'clock happens and it's like, oh shit, we got work.
Yeah. It's interesting how, when you were working, you had to beat traffic and you had to be at work at a certain time, and you had that thing where you don't want people to judge you for being late to work or there are
or
people
just simply
that keep
like
you honest.
I in order to leave, I have to come at a certain time to get work done. It's like that kind of thing.
Yeah. So when you would leave, I would have a very, very strict routine, and I was really strict with myself to be like, okay, I need to start working at 9 or whatever because I don't have traffic to deal with anymore. I can get to work earlier and get more done. If I can get more done by 6 o'clock, we can hang out or whatever. But when you start working from home, it was really hard to do that. It's like we enable each other.
Yes, we do.
Used to take we really enjoy the long walks in the morning because we used to go to the gym every single morning. We can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And now especially with face masks, how are you supposed to run or exercise or whatever outside? So we would take really long walks and then we'd come back and then usually I would skip breakfast. But then you're like, come on, let's eat breakfast
let's have
together.
some oatmeal,
so then
talk.
there's the extra time to make breakfast. And then like for me, because I would see that you would just stay in your pajamas, I was very diligent about like, okay, I need to put on makeup every day and like act like I'm going to work, or at least get out of this mode of like sleep and to time to work. I stopped doing that because you'd be in your pajamas, I'd be in my pajamas, we'd get lazy, and then it's like we enable each other.
Yeah. It got a lot better as time went on, but in the beginning, the first week especially, it was a disaster. And a lot of it was like, you know, since we're not, we don't go to the gym because we can't, we don't need to have breakfast anymore, kind of, because it's like we really needed that food to replenish or whatever. Yeah. So now we've been trying to figure it out. So lately, we do have our walk. That's very important. I guess these days we're going to have to wear a scarf as we walk. But we walk in the morning because it helps us be fresh, and we talk about what we're going to accomplish in the day, which is really nice. And then we come home and we totally skip breakfast. We kind of come home, wash up, and then just work. Yeah. And I've been really, really liking that routine. Yeah. I think breakfast slows us down because, you know, we talk too much or, you know, whatever it is. Yeah. It's just like, it feels like chill time. Whereas in like, for me, I don't know about everybody else, but for me, like when I wake up, I just want to get what I need to get done so I can just chill the rest of the day. Yeah. I think once we really started letting the first week of quarantine really like let our productivity slip. Like I wasn't able to complete as much work and you weren't able to complete as much work. Yeah. And we were both not only that, like this whole like the news cycle and everything, it really stresses you out. Right.
So it really affected our mental well-being. So I took it as my responsibility to get us on track, to really like, okay, at 9:00 we need to sit down at our computers and start working. Yeah. I don't care if we have to skip breakfast or whatever. And I've noticed for you, you have this thing where you like to yell at your computer.
Yes, I do.
It's really
my art director does too, actually.
Really?
Yeah. It's really funny because like my work, I don't know why. I guess I got lucky, but like my work computer at work has like 64-ish things of RAM. So it's like lightning fast.
It's
and then
supercomputer.
Yeah, and my art director has like half of that for whatever reason.
What?
So like I walk by his office and he's just like cussing at his computer. And so that like, so when I'm home, I only have, I have 16.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
8? 16? 16.
16, yeah.
I have 16 now, which is like half of what my art director has. So my computer is really slow. It's the computer that it's this iMac that I've had since college. Mm-hmm. And the only reason why I haven't put it out to pasture yet is simply because I've been upgrading it. It started off with 4 gigs of RAM. Mm-hmm. Then I made it 8. And then really recently, I tried to make it 16. And like, as much as I want or could buy a new computer, things are tough now. So I should really just suck it up and save my money and work with it. But it is really aggravating. My computer's really slow. And like, I'm working with these Photoshop files. Often I have to photo bash at times, like these high quality JPEGs, and save. And sometimes I'm helping you out with your videos. So I'm rendering videos on Premiere with my old ass computer. And one thing that's really crazy is, and I think I've been reading up and it's been affecting everybody, internet traffic is just really bad right now. And like, I understand, because everybody's at home, they're either streaming something, they're gaming, they're streaming themselves. Yeah. There's so much internet traffic, and like, you know, there are a lot of industries eating shit right now, but the internet industry, I'm sure, and service providers and streaming providers and all that stuff, they're probably having a great time right now. Yeah. But the problem is that like, you really feel it the internet, like the internet. So we have really, really good internet.
Yeah.
Right?
So ever since I quit my job at Disney and decided to make my internet personality and our social media my full-time job, I thought that I could get away with, at the time, the basic internet package that we had work. But then when we started, it was after our very first podcast episode that I realized, like, oh, this is not going to cut it, because it takes a lot of uploading speed, whatever, to upload a hour-long podcast, sometimes more than an hour. And like our first podcast took, I think, an entire day to upload. And I was like, no, I can't. This is not okay.
This will not stand.
Yeah, so we had to upgrade, and we upgraded to a really, really good internet package. And for the first month, for the entire month of February, it was really great. I had no problems. We were able to upload these hour-long podcasts really fast, like within an hour, I think.
Yeah.
So that was great. But recently, ever since quarantine, our internet, even though it's really good internet, it has been really frustrating me, because it's like, we pay a lot of money for good internet, and you have to. Anyone who's considering doing some kind of online business,
it's a must.
Yeah, it sucks. That's one of the biggest expenses outside of like your online store and whatever, is going to be internet, because if you don't have any and you have to drive to a Starbucks or whatever to get internet, that's gonna suck, because like if you can't upload your video, it's like the end of the world.
Yeah, so some quick insights, or just to help everybody in the audience understand how frustrating it is for me. When I'm in-house, when I'm at the studio, like actually at work, it's just so simple, because everybody, every studio has a server that we can just pop stuff in, take stuff out, and then we could show our art directors whatever it is. Everybody has access to it. So if I put something on the server, I get to walk to somebody else's computer, and then they get to, see it and all that stuff. So now that everybody's working from home, everybody has an online server. So what I have to do is like, I get my work done. I get like, let's say 4 backgrounds done. And then I have to upload it. So the worst part is like, when the internet is when the internet traffic is really bad, like sometimes in the afternoon or whatever it is, or if you're also uploading something, I have to get stuff uploaded to work. But then like, these files, especially, sometimes they're really big and they take forever to get into the cloud or into the server. So
it's crazy how my videos can get uploaded faster than some of your Photoshop files.
Yeah. I don't know what the heck that is, but
I mean, those files are really big.
They are really big. Yeah.
Sometimes, like, why does it need to be that big of a resolution?
It shows up on TV and all that stuff. But yeah, one random thing I want to talk about is Eric Clapton. I know it's really random, but I'm like, at this point in my life, I'm not really that inspired by visual artists. I've sort of like taken a little bit of a siesta with like drawing and all that stuff, and I've been playing a lot of guitar, and it's been really actually influencing my drawing and my painting, believe it or not, because of just how similar musicians are to us normal artists who like draw and paint stuff. Our paths are very similar. The grind is very similar. They call it wood shedding, like working out my woodshed. I'm like wood shedding out this this solo or whatever it is. So I've been really into learning about musicians. So one of my favorite musicians is Eric Clapton. He is not I don't know. I don't want to get into this discussion of like the greatest guitarist of all time. But at a certain point they called him God, because he really was, especially when he was like the best Eric Clapton was when he was 20 to 25. Like it truly is. And like all the diehard Eric Clapton fans will agree with me, because as much as great as Cream is, his collaboration with John Mayall and the Blues Breakers is phenomenal. When he was young, that kid worked so hard and he did so much cool stuff. And it inspires me, because a lot of the stuff, especially early on in the book, he talked about how he used to sketch and how he used to doodle. He used to make comics. He used to draw guitars. He obviously played guitars. And like, it's really fascinating to see and to listen to and to read how a lot of us creative people, we've gone through the same stuff together. We've always had this weird outlet. We've always felt like outsiders. We've always felt not like normal people. I highly recommend this. Like, learn about artists outside of your field. Learn about photographers. Learn about musicians. Learn about cooks, because we're all the same. We're all the same people. We all care so much about our craft. We all care so much about excellence. We all care and are trying to escape mediocrity and all this stuff. We're all in this weird creative journey together. Eric Clapton autobiography on Audible. It's narrated by Bill Nighy, who you will remember from Pirates of the Caribbean and Shaun of the Dead. So many amazing British movies. He was also in Harry Potter too. Yeah, it's a fantastic, fantastic listen, and it's a fantastic story. And it doesn't matter if you're working in animation, illustration, advertising, graphic design, or whatever. You're going to find a lot of parallels with one of the most amazing, legendary musicians of all time.
If you want to listen to that book, go to audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe podcast for a free Audible credit for the audiobook version of that book. And listen to that. And you also get 2 Audible original credits. So 3 audiobooks in total. And they also have meditation, daily news sites, subscription sites. So check it out. It helps us out at no cost to you. And if you like the podcast so far, click like. It helps us out.
Like
and
is this way?
Check out our website for our merch.
Yeah.
All right.
So one of the things that also gives me a lot of problems is communication. And one of the reasons why I really, really, really don't like freelancing is emails. I really, really don't like emails. I love in-person conversations. And I'm sure, I don't know if people like to do Skype calls or like actually calling people, but the norm is you get notes via email. And I just feel like there's so much lost in translation. I'm the type of person in the workplace, in the studio, where I like to make time or have some sort of piece of time at the end of the day or beginning of the day where I get to talk to my art director about like what needs to be done or how are my backgrounds going or whatever it is. And I like getting verbal notes because I like the clarity. I like whoever it is telling me, oh, I need you to do this, this, and this, and this. And if I find something unclear or if something's a little murky, I get to say, elaborate, or what do you mean by that? Or like I give suggestions or whatever it is. The problem with email is like, there's so much that can be lost in an email. So when I'm exchanging notes and all that stuff, it's just a lot more laborious. It's a pain in the butt. And I'm sure there's a lot of freelancers who are cringing. Like, oh, that's just like, it's normal. It's blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's why I don't freelance. Like, that's exactly why I don't freelance. I just don't like it. I'm a personable person and I need to talk to people. Like, I need to be with you and I like to make sure things are clear. I like to develop relationships. So at these times where I'm working from home, it's really difficult for me to draft emails, write emails, and pay close attention to what is needed. And oftentimes I might miss something because I didn't read something carefully enough. And that frustrates me because I always really try my best to make things as perfect as possible.
Yeah.
So when something gets lost in translation or I wasn't careful enough, I really get frustrated with myself.
Yeah.
So it's a little frustrating for me.
Yeah, it's the common problem for people who work remotely.
Yeah.
Communication problems. I'm the complete opposite of you.
Okay.
I hate in-person pointless meetings and small talk, and I'd rather get emails. Because then I can, especially concise, to the point.
Yeah, but it's
emails.
not often concise though.
Yeah, so I hate long emails, and I have a knack for just scanning everything, all the fluff, all the things, and like, hey, how's your day? Blah, 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 hope you're doing well. And okay, here's the one sentence that you actually needed to send me. And yeah, so I don't really have that problem because I am a solo entrepreneur right now.
Obviously, yeah.
Yes. So, and if I ever need help, I go to you for help, and you're right there. So, even if I needed you, I could just talk to you. And even before then, it's like when you would be working at the studio, and I'd be at home, I could just like message you something that we need to do later. It's like I don't have that issue at all.
Yeah, this whole thing has really taught me the value of communication. Like this whole, like it didn't dawn on me until like a couple days after quarantine, where I just thought to myself, and we were walking in the morning, and I told you something like, I think communication is the most important thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you elaborated more on that.
Yeah.
But I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, do you want me to elaborate?
Yeah.
Well, okay. So I actually think there are three things.
So, because I was certain there was one. I was like, oh, if there's no communication, then everything's screwed and blah, 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 blah. Communication can make or break, blah, blah, blah. It's not skill. It's about communication in animation, especially.
Yeah. I said, like, well, yes and no.
Yeah.
Because, like, everyone...
I was just thinking.
Yeah. Everyone thinks that, like, communication is the key to everything, any kind of person-to-person relationship.
Right.
And I do consider... I think it's really important to look at... people-to-people interactions at a company or at work, similar to a relationship. So what are the things people say are the foundations of a good relationship? It's communication. That's the most obvious thing.
That's like number one.
Yeah. So everyone always says, oh, communication is key, blah, blah, blah. But it's not just communication. It's communication, it's trust, and it's... there's one more.
Communication, trust, and patience.
Oh, yes. Communication, trust, and patience.
Right.
So you can't have any one without the other. Mm-hmm. If that like little triangle is imbalanced, then you're going to have a little bit of some kind of dysfunction in the work relationship. So if you have really good communication, but if you don't have trust and if you don't have patience, then you most likely have one of those really intense micromanaging type bosses who don't trust you to do anything on your own.
Those at a certain point. Yeah.
Who... they might not yell at you, but they look like they're always on the brink of yelling at you. Yeah. Or if you have patience, but you don't have trust or communication, then you're constantly going to, as the boss and as the employee, you're constantly going to be frustrated that nothing is going right. Yeah. Because there's no communication and there's no trust. There's going to be a lot of micromanaging and whatever. And if you have a lot of trust, but you don't have patience and you don't have good communication, you can trust the other person to be as good as you want, as they are. They probably are. But if you aren't good at communicating what you want for them and you don't have the patience to do so...
You could do something great, but in completely other direction. Yeah.
Not what you wanted.
Yeah.
So it's those three things. And I've had all sorts of bosses and experiences with all different types of that triangle, whether they have two of the traits and they lack one. Like most likely, if you have a pretty good balance of them, it's a really good working relationship. If you have only two, it's a okay working relationship. Like I've had bosses who are a little short-tempered with me, and things like that.
There's a lot of emphasis on like, are you good enough to work in the industry? Are you good enough to do this or that? And it's like, sure, obviously you need to be, you need to reach a certain skill set or skill point to work in a professional field. But like, that is like just the barrier of entry. That's like one of the traits you need. I think, like you said, having good communication, trusting people, and like all of that, it helps you become a really good employee, and it helps you become a better superior if you're like an art director, if you're a director. And And, of course it like those three things, it takes so much effort to just be good at one.
Yeah.
But, like a good first step is just to know that you need those three things.
One of the biggest things that we both really struggle with working from home is we don't know when to stop working. And I think in particular for you is kind of strange.
Okay, we're going to talk about this. Okay.
Well,
right.
You have your work hours, even if you're working from home.
Right.
You have your 9 to 6. After 6, you're done. You need to stop working. But what do you do?
Keep working.
Yes. And it confuses me all the time because I can keep working forever. My job doesn't stop unless I tell it to stop. Like I have so much to do and so much, I'm always like on this like rat race, at least right now because I'm like going so hard at growing the business. But for you, it's like, what do they care after 6? They're not working after 6. Why are you working after 6?
You guys need to understand. I really like being an employee. As much as that hurts your soul to say. I like it because pleasing people and making people feel good, making their dreams come true, and helping them get their goals accomplished gives me so much satisfaction. And it gives me I really shouldn't, but there's a lot of self-worth tacked onto it, and you can tell that so give the people an example because I'm too embarrassed to even share.
Okay, so the other day,
okay,
you get this email from your boss saying that, oh, you did a really great job, like one of those normal emails that like any boss will pat their employee. You did a great job this week.
Yeah, and then
you sat there. Just like, oh, I need to bask in this for like for like 10 minutes. And I look at you like
something like, hey babe, guess what my art director said? and then I read it out loud. And then I was like, that feels so good. I feel so happy. I feel like I'm doing a good job and people love me and people are so happy with the work that I do. I'm so thrilled right now.
And I'm like sitting there working on my next drawing, my next YouTube video, whatever. And I just muttered to myself, wow, I wish I could be that happy when someone tells me I did a great job. I was like, that really makes you so happy. When we worked together, like for Honey and Absinthe.
And then what? And then what happened though?
Oh, and then so like you can't be someone like you who takes so much pride and gets so much happiness and validation from when someone tells you that you did a good job, without also when you do a bad job or when you slip up even a little bit.
I crumble.
It's like the world has collapsed in on itself.
I crumble and I want to like walk to the bedroom and just like when I get it's not that the funny part is it's not even a bad note.
No, it's just like, I guess you need more time, and then and then you take it as like, I'm going to fire you.
Yeah, and then I'm like, I talk to you. I'm like, babe, I don't think I'm gonna have a job. I don't think I'm gonna have a job like in a couple days because of my art. I think I screwed up really bad. I think it's over for me. I don't think I'm gonna make it. No. I think I'm gonna have to help you with Honey and Absinthe now.
And the rest of the night, I'm consoling you. I'm like, they're not going to fire you. That was a lot of work for you to have finished. Like, they're not gonna fire you, even if it was an honest mistake, and this is like your first honest mistake in like what, a year. Yeah. And then I looked at the clock. No, the next day, like I just catch you zoning out randomly. I'm like, you're thinking about work, aren't you? Yeah, they're gonna fire. And you'd be like, yeah, they're gonna fire me. I'm like, no, they're not gonna fire you. And so the next day, like you work extra hard, and like I look at the clock, and it's like 6:30 or 7 p.m. and you're still working, and you're like sitting by the computer diligently like watching files upload. And I'm like, what are you doing? They're uploading. You can go play video games or something.
I was like, okay, so like I mentioned, it's really, really tough to get my files onto the online server. So it took that day like about an hour and a half for like just 4 files, 4 BGs to get up from my house to the sky. So I would just sit there and wait for it to go because it's like my work isn't finished until these files are in the cloud.
So you're just anxiously like watching the percentage.
So
tick up.
I would literally sit there, watch the clock, I watch the computer, and then I look over to you. And then I watch the computer again. And then I look at Biscuit and I watch the computer.
But I'm like hearing anxious noises.
What's an anxious noise?
Like you're like muttering to yourself.
And I'm creaking the chair, I guess.
And like you when you feel badly about yourself, you do this really strange thing where you yell at yourself. Or like
I can't believe it's gonna be on the internet. Oh my God.
where you're like insulting yourself. And I'm like, what is going on over there? You're just
I got a bad note. It's over for me, man. I've had my job, like truly out of no fault of my own, no fault of the crew at all. I've had my job swept under my feet multiple times.
Shows canceled.
Yeah, or just it didn't pan out.
Like I have strange like luck. Like I have all my life, I'm like a really lucky person. You are like the opposite, so we kind of balance each other out. You're just really unlucky.
Yeah, so I'm traumatized of like getting fired or whatever, or just like doing a bad job because like I've gone through a lot of crap in my like professional career, and it's been I barely started, which is hilarious. But so which is why. For whatever reason, for that reason, when you know, if things are remotely negative at work, I like crumble, like I fall to pieces.
Remotely,
like yeah,
it's not even negative.
It's not even negative. It's like remotely. It's like barely in the ball, like out in the bleachers of the ballpark.
And I'm just looking at the clock. Like I didn't even realize because again I like am super focused or whatever, and like we have longer days now, so. I look at the clock and it's like 7 p.m. and I go, oh my God. It's Friday it's 7 p.m. on a Friday. What are you doing?
I'm waiting for my director to respond back.
Yeah, I'm like, he's not going to are you going to be waiting all night? He's not going to be responding to you. He checked out probably at 4 today. He took like an early out. Like, I'm out of here. It's Friday. I'm working from home. No one is watching me. I don't care. Fuck this. And I just, you, no matter what I say, you don't listen to me, and you still just sit there and you watch it upload. And then I remember, like, I have flashbacks. I have flashbacks to when I was working at Disney. Mm-hmm. And I remember...
Right, because I'm working next to you. It kind of reminds you of that.
It reminds me, like, constantly for this whole entire time. You know, ever since I left Disney, I've had a little bit of, like...
PTSD.
Animation PTSD. Okay. Of, like, I'm constantly like, I'm glad I don't work in the industry anymore. We're like, man, that one time, that really sucked. I'm glad I'm not there anymore. And I always am like, why am I dwelling on this still after 2 months or whatever? And then now that you're working from home, it's a little bit of a reminder of like, I'm glad I'm not you. And and
oh God.
Like so I have flashbacks to what it was like for me working at on a Friday, and then I go, oh my God. What was it that I said yesterday?
I don't know, but when I wake up and like it's
Oh,
Friday.
yeah.
When I wake up and it's Friday, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna make sure that all my work is done. So that, because the worst thing, I'm not like, for people who don't know what it's like, the worst thing, at least for me, is feeling like I didn't do enough on Friday, and I dwell about it the entire weekend long, to the point where I come on Monday and I feel horrible, and then it's always the same. I come and it's like, oh, oh, I didn't really have anything to worry about.
Yeah.
Because it was all fine.
Yeah.
It was all fine.
Yeah,
It was all
no
in
one
my head.
cared at all. No one was thinking about you. And, for me, when I first was this green, young storyboard revisionist in animation 4 years ago or so, I was exactly the same way for like the first year, maybe the first 2 years. And I slowly got more and more jaded, and I slowly started living for Fridays. So by the end, I gave 0 fucks.
I mean, they were also treating you like shit too.
Yeah, so I just did not care anymore. And, no one else did too, because, the season was winding down and everything. So on Fridays, I'd wake up and I'd already be done. Like, Fridays, I'm like, oh yes, it's Friday. I don't have to do anything today because no one cares. And then what the worst part about Fridays is when I have a meeting at 4 p.m. on a Friday. How dare you do that to me?
That's so mean and cruel.
How dare you do that to me? You don't need me. You don't need me. You don't need anything from me in the last 2 hours of the week. Why would you do that to me?
It's because they don't want you to leave early. That's exactly why they put a meeting at 4.
Meanwhile, I see directors leaving early. I see the supervising writer leaving early. Sometimes at 12. I walk out of my cubicle for lunch and everyone is gone. And I go, what am I doing here? It's Friday. Oh my God. So seeing you react that way, working from home,
Oh my God.
I was like, what is wrong with you? No one cares. What do they don't need anything.
I've been through things, man. I've seen shit, man. I have scars you can't see, man.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. So knowing when to stop is a issue that I'm trying very hard to overcome.
I mean, now that I'm working for myself, that's a huge problem I have too.
Yeah.
Because if it weren't like I said, when you would come home, it was kind of a blessing in disguise that you were such a big distraction for me, because I was very productive in the 8 hours, and I didn't know how much I needed that 6 o'clock to whenever we would go to bed to wind down and relax. Because the past week, last week, we uploaded 3 or 4 YouTube videos, and we were doing a lot on TikTok and Instagram and everything.
Yeah,
and
if you guys probably were paying attention, we did this whole thing. A lot of really talented artists have been taking over Designer Cons. Designer Cons Instagram page. Designer Cons is fantastic. Like don't believe the hype everybody says about other especially creative centric conventions out there. I think DesignerCon is the biggest, just the biggest design convention in the fall.
Full of independent artists.
Artists, really fantastic artists. So they, gave us the opportunity to just
take over their Instagram. Yeah. And
which was a very last minute thing.
Yeah.
So we busted our butts to figure out how we're going to make that worth it and how to make up really good content. So we really burned the candle at both ends last week.
Yeah. So that week, I think all week long, we put in really long days and nights to get all that done. And that's not something I am a fan of, especially after having graduated Art Center. Art Center is known to push their students really, really, really hard. Having experienced that, burning the candle at both ends, I made it a mission to always have at least 8 hours of sleep every single day, because I can't function anymore without a full night's sleep, and it's not healthy to do that. And you are your best when you take care of yourself.
Of course.
So last week, we really did not abide by those rules at all because we had a lot of stuff to get done.
We felt like we needed to get it done, and in order to get it done, we gotta sacrifice a bit.
Yeah.
A bit,
And then, we suffered the consequences of that early this week. So I realized how important that time was to whatever, like I'm playing Animal Crossing recently. You're playing Doom.
Playing Doom Eternal.
We're watching movies on this thing we have Criterion.
Yeah, highly recommend the Criterion collection if you're into movies.
Yeah, movies, and in particular old movies, it's really good to educate yourself about the movies that we currently watch that are coming out in 2020, who their inspirations are. Like, no property is original anymore.
Right. I've always wanted to talk about or gush about the Criterion channel because, like, I feel like if you're in high school or if you're in art college right now, I really don't think you should be spending money on Netflix or Hulu. Yeah. Maybe Crunchyroll. Of course, Crunchyroll. But, like, you really shouldn't be watching Netflix or Hulu. You should be watching the Criterion channel because if you're in animation, especially, you're not, like, I think there's a lot of it's tough because, like, when you're in animation, obviously you want to be an animation aficionado.
Yeah.
But animation is just one of the many beautiful aspects of cinema.
Yeah.
So if you're into animation, you really need to be learning about cinema. You need to be watching, all sorts of foreign films, world cinema, classic movies, art house, all that stuff. You want to, like, broaden your scope. And Netflix, there are a few gems in Netflix. The classic ones are there. Hulu, not really because they mostly have TV shows, but like the Criterion channel is I think it's $10 a month. It's $10 a month. It has all the Criterion movies. And if you don't know what that means, they're basically these celebrated independent movies. And sometimes just classic movies that you can watch anywhere from Federico Fellini to Ingmar Bergman to Kurosawa to Suzuki to Yasuhiro Ozu, all these amazing, fantastic directors. I highly recommend you watch the. God, I wish we had a Criterion sponsorship.
I know we're not sponsored by Criterion,
not sponsored
but
yet.
Criterion, please. Also, we'd like to design a movie cover.
Yeah,
that's like my dream. Yeah. But you guys have time. It's quarantine time right now, so
don't Netflix and chill. Criterion collection and chill. That's the way, man. That's
recently we've watched Babette's Feast, Tempopo.
Perfect movie, Babette's Feast.
And we're on the Sydney Poitier.
We went on
marathon.
a Sydney. We're on a Sydney. Sydney Poitier. Kick. We also had this fantastic time where we were watching almost all of Paul Schrader's movies, which was amazing.
Which was really great.
Which we loved almost every single one. It was amazing.
But it really, whether you're watching movies or playing video games, it's really...
What are your top 3 Criterion recommendations right now?
Babette's Feast was one of my favorites. And, oh God, it's really hard when you put me in this position because it's like movies that I feel like I have to recommend, like the Godard movies, or the movies that I personally enjoy.
Have to recommend Godard, but I guess but like Tarkovsky, Ozu,
Kurosawa. The recent director that we watched, I forgot his name. Japanese director.
Oh, Suzuki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say Who's Coming for Dinner.
Yeah.
Was really, really great.
That was very good. So Babette's Feast and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. I think, we talked about it. We keep a list of what we think are perfect movies.
Yeah.
Perfect movies as we define meritocratically, something that's just filmed really well, acted really well. The writing is sharp. The blocking and cinematography is tight. And it's a well-oiled machine. Not a single thing is wasted. Not a single scene. Not a single moment. So that's what we define as a perfect movie. And we only have about 5 in our list. And someday I hope we get to talk about those movies. Gush about movies. But we'll get there eventually. Yeah. But again, Criterion Collection is one of the best things you could do and take a part in and just go through the entire catalog if you can. I guarantee you 80% of the movies in Criterion Channel you've never seen, and you probably should.
Yeah, and they're all good. I've never once regretted watching a movie on Criterion.
You know that feeling where you're watching Netflix and you feel like you just wasted your life and you just like want to just like wallow in your own like existential nothingness.
Yeah.
I hate that feeling. But every time we watch Criterion, I feel like, oh, I learned something new. Oh, my imagination is stimulated. Oh, I just feel like I like, it feels like a good meal.
Yeah, and there have been so many times we've watched a movie and go like, oh wait, isn't that this other movie that recently
Isn't
came
Birdman
out?
basically 8.5?
Yeah.
Isn't Wreck-It Ralph basically Bicycle Thieves? God, I could
Isn't
go
it
through
Ratatouille basically Babette's Feast? Isn't Paperman essentially the color red? It's like so many.
Anyway, you talked about Animal Crossing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, how are you liking that? Because like, ever since you left Disney, you haven't had the time to play video games at all.
Yeah.
And you're not like the biggest gamer in the world, but you really do enjoy like a good game, a good Pokemon game, good Fire Emblem, something Nintendo.
Yeah, I have this weird problem where I am super motion sick. I can't even really be on a swing without getting motion sick.
Right.
So, like, I really, really love video games, and you know, I wanted to be a game artist, but it turns out like someone like me who can't really play a lot of video games, like first-person shooters and that kind of thing.
Even third person, you have a hard time with.
Yeah. Good luck with that. So I eventually I had to just become like the Nintendo girl who only plays like casual gamer games like Pokemon and that kind of stuff. But Animal Crossing has been really nice to take the stress away from the day.
Yeah, I really see you and I observe you play it like you've had a stressful day, or you and I had to accomplish a lot, and it's nice to just like relax at 8. And I see like you look visibly better.
Yeah.
Like chiller.
Yeah. There are times when like you know when you need to stop, when at least for someone like me where like potentially the work doesn't have to ever stop. You can just keep going indefinitely if you want to. But I've learned that when I start feeling like I'm getting less back than I put in, when I don't really enjoy what I'm doing currently, or I'm in this really like anxious, stressed out mood and not really calm anymore, it's probably time to either take a break or stop and like go relax, do something else. And there have been times where like, I think you can sense it now too. I think it was harder at the beginning of our relationship where like we were both like, didn't know each other's tics and things that make each other angry, but like sometimes when I get that way I can get a little anxious and I can like snap at you a little bit more or whatever.
Right.
And you can probably sense like you need to stop.
Yeah.
You need to stop right now. You need to stop working and you need to like go play Animal Crossing.
You know, as ridiculous as it is that you have to tell me to stop working for as you say, the man. I actually have to tell you, hey, you need to stop. Because you go like, you have this like little internal struggle around like 7 o'clock sometimes where you're like, oh, I need to do this, but I don't feel like it, but I really should, blah, blah, blah. And then I go, didn't you just cut a YouTube video, make it 2 TikToks, 1 layout for tomorrow's TikTok and all this stuff? I think you're good. I think you're good for today.
I go sometimes I feel like I haven't done anything. I complain. I go, oh, I haven't done anything all day. And then you go, what are you talking about? You made like 5 videos today. Like, chill. I think you have the right to chill right now.
I think so.
It's really important, you guys, because this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. We have no idea how long this quarantine thing is going to last, or if you've lost your job because of it, how long this working from home thing is going to last. So you really got to like take care of your mind. It's really important to tell yourself to stop.
Yeah, take care of your, what is it, turnips, or kill some demons, whatever.
Yeah. So that's it for this.
Yeah, that's it for this podcast, everybody.
Like the podcast. If you like the podcast, it really helps us out. Subscribe if you want more. We'll have another episode next week about personality types and our personality types and how that applies to the workplace and real life and the struggles of growing up. And Merch.
Merch.
I am wearing the Honey and Absinthe sweater. If you want to help support this channel, support this podcast, we couldn't be doing this without your support. Please consider buying something from our store and giving us a view and a like. Comment down below what you do during quarantine to fill your time and how all the struggles that you have working from home.
Yeah, let us know about your quarantine struggles. We'll do our best to give as much insight as we can.
Yeah, or funny stories.
Yeah, funny stories. Just like, let's like try to stay calm, lighten the mood, right?
All right.
Yeah.
I'll see you next time.
Next time. Bye-bye.